This just in. Todd Howard has reportedly had his Doberman Pinscher Stompy put down and turned into an NFT. In other fake news, welcome to Nuclear Grenade Podcast.
5, 4, 3, 2, 1.
Hello, and welcome to the Nuclear Grenade Podcast. I'm your host, Justin Land, and with me, as always, Mr. Alexander Hayho. How you doing, Alex?
I'm doing well. How's your day going?
A little hungover. Could be better. So let's just jump right into what games we've been playing this week. You want to start us off?
Yeah, the free game on Epic Games this week is Among Us, made popular by Mr. Pie, PewDiePie.
Mr. Pie, of course.
Yeah, he was...
Of Nuclear Grenade Podcast fame.
Yeah, he got famous because of us. So I think most people kind of know what it is already. I didn't get a chance to play it a whole lot. It was fun, but it's one of those games where until you know the maps and kind of what you're doing, it's not as fun because, you know, you have to go through the learning process first and figure out what you're doing. But the basis of the game is you start off and there's aliens, imposters, and then there's like human players. And the human players have to go around and accomplish these tasks. And the imposters have to either kill the human players or sabotage the map by doing certain events.
Listen, all y'all, this is sabotage.
Yeah, good old Beastie Boys style. So, like, one of the things that the imposters will do is they'll pretend to do the human events, these little mini games that you have to go do around the ship. And some of the events have animations, and if a player sees you pretending to do something and the animation isn't going like it would if you were an actual human player, there comes a time when you meet up with the other humans and you discuss amongst yourselves with the mic, and you talk about, okay, who's the imposter, and then you kind of vote. I didn't play enough to actually get good at it or really have an in-depth knowledge of how to be good at it or anything like that.
You're not the best liar in general, so.
No, but it did get very positive.
You'd be like, I didn't do it. You'd be like, I just saw him faking it. And they'd be like, sure you did, hey-ho.
Yeah, what wasn't me, guys.
Every time you get kicked out of the fucking space line. It wasn't me.
It got very positive reviews on Steam. Over about 500,000 reviews, very positive. Came out 2018. Developer, same as the publisher, is Inner Sloth. So
but it was weird because it came out and no one gave a shit about it. And then
Mr. Pie, dude.
I feel like, was it the beginning of the pandemic or was it, Mr. Pie? But yeah, at some point it just caught on with all the YouTubers. The tubers.
Yeah, it's gone viral, and I think one of the reasons why it's gone viral is, like you said, during the pandemic, when everybody had to stay home, plus PewDiePie, and it's a very social game, you know, so it allowed people to be social in a time when everybody was saying, hey, don't be social. And it's also $5, you know, and cheap games and free-to-play games typically land a bunch of players, so they've done well for themselves.
Because I had friends that aren't even like gamers or into gaming at all, like want to play it with me and shit.
Yeah, it would be fun. It would just take some time to get good at it. You know, it kind of be like a board game, like the amount of time it would take to get good at a board game. You know, just learning the maps. But yeah, it's on iOS and
unless
Android.
you're a great liar. Unless you're a great liar, then it comes naturally.
Yeah, it's a game that teaches you to be good at lying. So.
Yeah. Get your kids to play. Get your children to play.
Oh, and I beat Subnautica. It only took 25 hours. Subnautica Below Zero, which is less than $1 per hour because the game was $30, and I beat it in 25 hours. So, I mean, it was a good deal.
So it's cost more than $1 per hour.
More than $1 per hour. Yes, sorry. It was fun, you know, but it's short. So
yeah, it's kind of on par. It seems like it's on par with the first one, because the first one was like what 40 hours, and this one has a smaller map, so it seems like as the map in the focus got more condensed, sort of the streamlining of the gameplay.
Yeah, and with
That makes
the
sense.
first Subnautica though too, like you kind of had to learn how Subnautica was played. So I think that added time on to the first Subnautica as well. When Subnautica Below Zero came out, like people who've played Subnautica kind of already knew what they were doing, which sped up the progress. Yeah.
Yeah, I got fairly far in like the 10 hours or whatever I played. I just need to find like the spaceships to grab the piece to fix the radar tower or whatever.
Oh yeah.
So I'm fairly far along. But yeah, I just hit the water swimming. I guess hit the ground running, hit the water swimming.
Nice. I like that. Yeah, so those were the only 2 games I've played this past week.
Okay, not much.
No, what about you?
I played a little bit of that. I think we mentioned it last week. But I played a little bit of that Prison Simulator. It's like a beta or whatever. Not great. It's just like all those simulator games. I don't know what engine they're running, but everything's kind of clunky. You can tell they're kind of Eurotrash stuff, but it's an interesting idea. I didn't like the way it played, and it's not a high quality game at all. But if you want to be a prison guard and beat up prisoners, I mean, hell yeah, dude. Go for that. The demo takes you through like the first day and then like a riot where you're just shooting 100 prisoners, and there's no like recoil or animations on the gun or any like the gun sound is like "Rah, rah, rah."
Oh no.
You're just like horrible. Yeah, it doesn't feel good. Guys are taking like 10 shots to the head. But not great. But if you want to live the fantasy of bullying people in a prison, that's good for. Yeah, one thing I did thought was cool is like, prisoner was like, "Hey, beat this guy up for me. Make sure he gets his head bashed in." And I went to a different prisoner, and the guy was like, "I'll pay you $50 for it." I was like, "Okay."
Oh.
And I went to a different prisoner. I was like, "I'll give you $10 to beat his ass."
Oh, nice, making deals.
So, yeah. $40 profit for doing nothing.
I could see how a game like that,
So that was kind of cool.
would be really fun if you took like the escapists and had the escapists fuck Payday 2 and have a baby. That would be an awesome game.
Yeah. Yeah, or like anything that actually had quality devs and some money behind it. Yeah. But I feel like with games like that, then you're kind of getting into the woods of this is a little too risque to put money towards. It's like, what's EA making? A game where you get to beat up black prisoners and
Oh God.
as a guard?
Yeah.
They're probably not going over great.
It's all like Spanish and black prisoners. There's like no white people in there.
Yeah. The only white people are guards.
Oh man. The developer on that is,
I feel like they would be dumb enough to do something that tone deaf.
well, I don't know, like I've never heard of the developer, and it's the same people that published it. It's Baked Games SA. But Baked Games, so I don't know, maybe they're like super stoned trying to make it. Just like a really high programmer, just how do you write a loop again?
It seems kind of like Eastern European type development.
Yeah, maybe.
I think a lot of those games have that kind of look and feel. For the Russianskis. So then I played Domina. I went through and did another run of Domina. I haven't played in a few years, maybe a couple. So jumping back into that, hadn't changed a ton, but it seemed like the tweaking of the game got to a good fine point. The strategy for the gladiators is slightly different now. There's a little more to it. They added more gladiators and stuff. Easier to get like lions. So that's a cool game. I was glad to dip back into that for a few hours.
You play some really fucking
I actually did 2
weird
runs.
games, man.
Yeah.
So Domina's like a super.
So Domina
it's really
is
pixelated looking. It's made by Dolphin Barn Incorporated, but it's got very positive reviews. Came out April 3rd, 2017.
Yes. So it's like a gladiator thing where you get gladiators and you can like train them up and upgrade your domus and have them train more, and you can kind of control their stats, but you don't. And then you'll fight them in the arena, and you can either control that or not. I never controlled it. I just trained their AI really high. So it's very interesting like that, because it's kind of like one of those games where you're watching the event take place, but you're doing all the build up for it.
It's like a Kairosoft game,
which I really enjoy. Yeah, it's got a little bit of that in it, and I don't know, the storyline's kind of cool. Like, you were left this gladiator thing, and you'll get killed at the end if you don't release enough free prisoners to come save you, which is kind of cool. But yeah, overall, it's a very simple game, but it's got a little bit of depth there. It's not a very long playthrough. It's not very taxing on your mind and body. But overall, it's just like a fun little rompy poo.
Rompy poo. Wow.
Yeah, dude, I'm coming up with all the gems,
Yeah,
dude.
that's a good one.
Then I played a tiny bit of City Skylines. Played it for years. Love the game. Don't have much to say about it. Might get one of the new DLCs next week and try
I
it.
bought that, but like I never actually ended up playing it. Like I started to. I think I got that in Djibouti, Africa, one night when I was in my crew, bored as hell, and I couldn't jerk off because I had 2 roommates. So it's like, well, maybe I should buy a game. Yeah, remember that? So anybody who's watching this,
were you a third class at the time?
Yes, I was a
one
third class. I became a second class in Italy.
Okay.
A few months later.
Okay, yeah, because I think E5's only had 2 to a room, and then we had off shifts, so I always had it myself.
Nice.
Sorry.
Lucky. You could jerk off all you
At
wanted.
ease, soldier. Yeah.
You could look at tentacle porn all night.
Like, I didn't that much. Yeah, I don't think I did a lot of jerking off in Africa because I was afraid of like giant spiders climbing in.
Camel spiders. I'm pretty sure.
Biting my dick.
I'm pretty sure they put saltpeter in the food too.
Like boot camp.
Yeah, keep all the spec op guys from raping everybody.
Like saltpeter could do that.
Oh, you know what? When we were talking about the game Pitfall a few episodes ago, I was actually thinking of a game called Out of This World for the Super Nintendo.
Mm.
Have you ever played that, or have you ever seen that?
No.
That game is.
No, I played Pitfall.
No, Out of This World is absolutely terrifying, dude. After this podcast, you should look up a gameplay thing. I'll do an overlay while I talk about it right now, but that game gave me nightmares. And when you see the graphic style, it is demented, dude. It's like a twisted nightmare.
Apparently it was a TV show too.
I wonder.
It was like a weird Saved by the Bell looking TV show.
I don't think it was the same thing.
This must have been some British fucking TV or something.
Yeah, Out of This World, dude. Designer was Eric Chahi. Came out in 1991. Like, so it wasn't even really a developer company, development company. It was just a couple guys, it seems like, that made it. Man, but that was back in 1991. Wow.
I was just a babe.
Yeah.
I was just a babe.
It's crazy, like, our generation. Because when you and I were born in 1987 or 1986?
Well, basically 87, the very, very end of 86.
Yeah, so we were both 1987 babies, and that's kind of the NES era. So NES and on, like, we weren't there for Pong, really. We weren't really there for Atari, but anyone born in 1987 was like the NES, Super Nintendo, and then you got into, N64 and PlayStation and stuff like that.
Super.
Yeah, the Dreamcast. But, like,
yeah, I love that Dreamcast.
It's kind of cool knowing that we kind of grew up with the gaming industry. Like, we're kind of the old guys that were there kind of in the beginning.
Old heads. Yeah, what do we got to show for it? Nothing!
We got skills, dude. I'm probably just as good, if not maybe slightly better than what I used to be, like in my prime, But like, I think the difference is back then, like you couldn't just buy a bunch of games. Like you would be lucky to get a game because someone would have to buy it for you, like your parents or whatever. And then so like you got really good at that one game. And I think that's kind
Yeah.
of an
There wasn't
illusion.
that many.
What's that?
There just wasn't that many games
Yeah,
either.
there wasn't that many games either. Like when GoldenEye came out for the 64, dude, like you didn't really need anything else for a long time. That like won number
Yeah.
one on EGM for like 6 or 7 years. Maybe it was even like 10 years. It was like the number one game for like a decade. But
Yeah.
yeah, when that came out and then Perfect Dark came out, man, that was a good
It's a
era.
good
That might
game.
have been my favorite era of gaming, I think. Do you have
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe it was mine too, but it's hard to say because I might have just liked being alive more when I was 12.
mm,
And so like I enjoyed everything more. And everything was more impactful, whereas now like I'm jaded and old and don't give a shit about anything. So you're like, oh, cool, a new Zelda, excellent. Whereas like Ocarina of Time came out, like it literally blew my fucking mind.
mhm.
I couldn't wait. I remember like I was babysitting to get like the money for a 64 for like several months. I babysitted, got the 64, and then didn't realize that we didn't have the right like adapter to plug in the TV.
Ah,
Because then like I remember I had to wait like a whole like 8 hours for my dad to get up and like go get it for me, and I would just like add the game there, and it's like, no, I want to play it so
oh, that
bad,
sucks.
So I don't feel that kind of feeling about anything anymore.
Second of all, I do agree. Like, and I was actually gonna do a poll. Like, I don't know if my community on YouTube is getting sick of me doing all these polls or not. Which I haven't really done that many, but I was gonna ask, like, for the veteran gamers specifically, you know, do you prefer to stick to games that you already kind of know how to play, or do you actually like to try to learn new games? Because like I think that learning new games would be fun if you had the patience to do it. But I don't think a whole lot of people as they get older have the patience to sit there and try to figure out how to play a new style of game that they've never played before. You know what I mean? Like we were talking about that Victoria game, I think last episode, and it had all these stats and data and graphs and all this kind of stuff. And like it might be a super fun game,
Ta-da!
but like I don't want to sit there and learn how to play it. Even with Among Us, the free game on Epic, which you can get right now if you wanted to,
Yeah.
like I don't want to sit there and learn all the maps and memorize the maps and memorize all the mini games, and then like it just seems like it's not
Hmm.
fun to me. It's like, oh, I'd rather just go play Ark,
Yeah.
something that I know how to play. But that's lame. So I was wondering,
And I'm the absolute opposite.
really?
Complete opposite. I mean, yeah, I only like games until I learn them, and then I'm bored of them. Like, I mean, I'm a super genius though, so like I just learn so fast. It's like comes naturally to me. But
Wow.
no, I do. Like I guess I have like not true ADHD. I've never been diagnosed with it, but I have like an ADHD gaming style. Like I just all I care about is learning the new stuff, seeing the new maps, seeing the way characters move, the way the gameplay works out, delving into the systems and how they
Mhm.
work. Um, and so the more of that a game has, the more I stick with it. It's kind of like the depth discussion we had a few weeks ago, where everything about gaming to me, and even like a lot about life, but I just like to delve really deeply into a subject until I've like until I've drinking enough water out of the gallon, and I'm like, okay, thirst quenched, I'm done playing this now. If I know, like, that's why I couldn't do Arc. Like, I know our fans are Arc fans, but like, I did like 100 hours, and I was like, okay, this is a fucking nightmare for me. I absolutely hate every second in this game now because I've seen everything. I know how to do everything. There's nothing in this game that I don't know now, and so that's where it loses the magic. I have to have like new hills to crest um, for me to get any enjoyment out of a game. And that's probably why I've started to like shorter games a lot more too. Like instead of doing like the old school JRPGs for 80 hours where you pretty much get it halfway through. Now I do kind of like a more 20 to 30 hour tailored experience, or roguelikes, or Civilization, where it's a new thing every time. Those are kind of what I like. That's kind of what the reason I game, I'd
Yeah,
say.
see, like I have that to an extent too. Like with Civ 6, like I'll play a few maps and then then it will kind of just become repetitive. And then you get to the
Hmm.
point in a match where it's like you're either going to win or you're going to lose. Most of the time
Yeah.
it's okay,
Mhm.
now I know I'm going to win. It's just going to take a million turns, it's going to take forever, and it's going to get boring.
Yeah.
And so like I understand that. But for me with a game like Ark, it's um I enjoy the getting really good at efficiency. Like how quickly, how
Hmm.
fluently can I play the game? Like how quickly can I get prepared to fight the first boss? You know,
How quickly can I come?
yeah. Well, and then
Okay.
like breeding and stuff like that, and min maxing things,
There's a lot there.
and then there's
Absolutely.
bosses, and then there's multiple maps. There's so many maps. So even when you beat one map, then you can go to the next one and bring all of your stuff with you. If you have S plus at least.
Yeah.
Um. So
Yeah. So I mean, that's kind of what I never did. Never went to the other
oh
maps.
yeah. Like
But
Ragnarok is probably one of the best maps. And so there's just so much there, and I think I've got over
mhm.
2,500 hours in Arc, which I think is the most I've ever
Jeez.
got in any game. And then Subnautica, I got 25 hours in Below Zero,
Yeah.
compared to 2,500 hours in Arc.
But and you like building and all that stuff. Um,
This part,
I don't really. I don't like a ton of building. Like I make everything utilitarian and simple, and then I move on. Like I do not give a shit. I don't give a shit what my apartment looks like. I don't give a shit what anything looks like. All I care is, does it work? Is it where it needs to be for for efficiency? And then I'm done. Like I do not spend any time making shit look pretty or building. If you could build a statue or uh, accessories for like a room in a game, I
yeah.
never do. If it doesn't provide a bonus, I'm not building it. I'm not wasting my fucking
You know
time.
what's
I got
you know
shit
what's
to
funny?
do.
We were talking about story and how I usually skip story, and you brought up the point that brings like for you that adds atmosphere to the game and it kind of immerses you
Mm,
immersion into the game rather than just skipping the story and then you don't get that immersion.
mm,
But like in Arc, like part of the immersion for me, since there isn't a story, is like going back to base at night and like feeling comfortable there, I guess. And like, it's raining
mm.
out and you got everything lighted, all the lighting really nice and stuff like that. But really, I'm more of a form and function type of guy. Like I like it to look nice and organized, but I'm not going to put like couches over here and rugs over there.
Yeah.
Like I'm not that, you know, feminine, I guess, where, I'm going to nest.
Ooh la di
Yeah,
da.
I'm going to put a flower pot over there. I did that with Raft, but that's only because that's the only
Yeah.
thing you can really do in Raft.
I was gonna download that. No, I think I did download it again, and then I was like, I'm gonna play this, and then I was like, oh wait, no, I'm not.
Yeah, it's like a more shallow version of Ark.
Yeah, it needs more, I
It
think.
needs more. It's a good game for younger people. I had a lot of fun with it. I'm not trying to say I'm above it or anything like that. It's a good game, and I recommend people give it a shot. It's a lot of fun, but there's just not that much depth to it.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think it's good for like I'm gonna play this for 20 hours and then put it down,
Yeah.
for a type game.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's see. I think I played. I did some more Subnautica and Legends of Eidolon, and then I did a wee bit of BattleTech, which man, there's something about this game. So I got it when it first came out, and I've tried several times to get into it. And on paper, it's the perfect game for me. It's got giant fucking robots. Love robots. Love mechs. You know, got all different types of mechs. It's a tactics game. It's got cool story where you can upgrade your ship and your guns, and you can choose the loadouts of your game. There's hard points, and like you can knock over mechs, do like specific strikes to kill the pilot, but keep the mechs. So you get more salvage.
Nice.
Like everything about this game on paper is like right up my alley. These are the things I look for in video games. But in practice, it's not a bad game. It's just not fast enough. I think it comes down to there's something that it just kind of lags out for me, where everything moves a little too slow. The animations, you know, take too long before they even start moving the actual thing. When they're firing, it takes long. So everything is just kind of like stuck in molasses or something. Where it's there, it's doing everything correctly, but it's just slower and stickier.
It's turn-based strategy game.
Yeah. Yes.
That's the first time I've ever heard of it.
Turn-based, yeah, tactics.
It looks fun.
Yeah, and it's based on like Mech Warrior tabletop game BattleTech, I believe. It was like I think Warhammer 40K, but like BattleTech has their own rules and stuff.
Interesting. Yeah, I mean, it got good reviews.
Yes. Yeah, I mean it's a good game, but it's not a great game. Like it has everything that should be a great game to me, but it's just not. So I find it really hard to stick with it, even though I want to get further and see what the rest of the game's like.
Oh, that's too bad. Because like when I'm looking at it, like I can see, like I'd be kind of excited to play it. Like it looks fun to me, but like hearing you talk about it, like I can see how what you're saying would be the case. So that's too bad. You know, maybe they'll learn from this one and come out with a BattleTech 2 and streamline it a bit.
Hopefully, yeah, we'll see. It's been a while. It came out like 5 years ago
2018,
or something.
April 24th, 2018.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
I feel like maybe the last expansion came out in 2018.
I'm looking at it on Steam. Oh, it's the developer was Harebrained Schemes, but the publisher was Paradox. So at least the devs had some experience behind them.
I guess it was quicker than I thought. That's very surprising to me, though. It feels older for sure, and it plays almost older, I'd say.
Yeah, it kind of gives me some StarCraft vibes a little bit, like StarCraft 2 vibes a little bit, just kind of how it looks, from what I'm seeing on Steam at least.
Yeah, and I mean, the art design is really cool. I really like the BattleTech mech style. It's very industrial and a little more realistic. I mean, I do like robot my mechs to have arms, but like they do kind of the mech warrior style where a lot of them don't. It's like, my arms are giant guns.
Yeah.
That's all you need.
Yeah.
Kind of like a walking Tyrannosaurus Rex, but it's just cool because you have a lot of different styles.
Yeah. Did you ever play Mecha Warrior for the Super Nintendo back in the day?
Yeah, where you're the first person piloting.
Yeah. Oh man.
Yeah.
God.
Oh, and I also remember the little one. Did you remember the one? I think it was like Sega Genesis. Maybe it was probably on Nintendo too. But you could control the top and the bottom. So two different people. One would control the legs of the mech warrior, and then the other person would control the top of the mech warrior and do the shooting.
Vaguely.
And it was frustrating as fuck with the little brother. Like, you're an idiot! You don't know walk right! No, you don't get to shoot, because I'm the shooter! I'm the oldest! Oldest always shoots!
You know what's funny is I was a younger brother, but I was always way better than my older brothers. And they'll admit to it. Like, they'll tell you straight up that that's the case. My brother John is a huge advocate. He actually brags to his friends about how good of a gamer I am. Like, on 7 Days to Die, before ARC, I was a big 7 Days to Die player. And there's an achievement in 7 Days to Die that once you hit 25 deaths, you get an achievement. And I've got over 1,000 hours in 7 Days to Die. Haven't gotten that achievement. I haven't died 25 times in that game. And like when you watch people play it online, or you hear people, you read comment sections, it's like, oh man, this game is so hard, I die all the time. It's like that game is lucky if it can kill me.
Well, pinky's up,
No big
fellas.
deal.
I just imagine like a 45-year-old man at the bar. My brother is so good at 7 Days to Die, you would blow your mind.
Yeah.
This guy, he is great at video games, let me tell you.
Yeah. Well, it's more of just the.
He's like macking on it. He's macking on a chick. He's like, hey,
My brother is so amazing.
let me tell you something about my brother. Yeah.
It's like all the ammo he's got.
He's like, basically, he's a pro gamer.
Basically.
When I go back to my place and sleep with the brother of the guy who's really good at video games.
No. Does he have a sponsor? No. No, he's.
I'm his sponsor.
Yeah. Oh man.
His sponsor's name is Steve with the AA. He goes to AA meetings.
Steve is the perfect name for that role.
Yeah, I feel like if you become AA sponsor, they dub you an honorary Steve.
Yeah, you become a Steve automatically.
Today we embrace you. Yeah, we embrace you into the fold of AA counselors and sponsors, and you will be dubbed Rise Steve.
Yeah.
Alrighty, so that's what I've been playing. That's BattleTech. We'll see if if it sticks this time. I might tweak the settings too and see if there's ways to like really speed it up.
Maybe get rid of the animation and shit.
Yeah.
Like with,
because I definitely turned it into a faster combat. But...
well, like with Civ 6 and Civ 5, like that's one thing that I always do is I shut off the animations and stuff. That way, as soon as I click, it's like, okay, they're just there, you know. You don't have to wait around for the animation to play out.
Yeah, in tactics games, I think it's really important. Especially just these slow ass mechs. It'll take a mech, like, you hit a mech to stagger it, right? Like, because you can get the knockdown, which is a superior way of killing the mechs. And it'll fucking take like 30 seconds to fall down. Like, just fall down.
Dude, the animator spent a lot of time trying to make it look good. All right.
Fuck those animators. They did a shitty job.
Dude, they spent.
I hope they did extra work so I could skip
Think
it.
about the money that was spent for those animators to animate that, and you just want to skip it? Come on.
Yes.
Yes.
I want to skip it, and if I see them out in public, I'm gonna spit COVID into their eye.
Oh man. I was in a gas station today, and I'm in Florida, and like nobody cares about COVID, and nobody's cared about COVID here for like 2 months, 3 months. Like there's no masks, nothing. But today, like I was in the gas station, some guy turned around, he's like, I'm like, dude, it's a little soon to be doing that. Like he didn't even bother to cough into his hand, let alone into his arm. You know, it's just like, come on, fucking douchebag.
Hand's almost worse.
It is.
Yeah, it's so hilarious.
Yeah, and
like I remember in Japan, like I like the masking thing. I don't think it should be mandatory, but I do like if you're sick and you have to go to work, wear a mask. That's fine. Nothing wrong with that. You're helping other people. That's good. And also, where are all these adults coming from that never learn how to cough in their fucking elbow?
I don't know.
Where are they?
I don't know.
Are they being released from jungle cages and let out into the fucking wild? Just these ape beasts of human beings. There's like
a bunch of slime in their hand. Yeah. And then they go around touching stuff.
Yeah. Oh, do I want this bag of chips? No, I want this. No, not that one either. Yeah.
That's exactly what happens too. Dude, like my it was my first week in boot camp, and it was like winter time. And so we were given these white scarves, and we were marching, and I had and you know how it is in Chicago. In boot camp, you're in this compartment with all these people from all over the US, and it's fucking disgusting. And so everybody's getting sick. And
recruit crud.
Yeah, recruit crud. And so we're marching, and I got this white thing on, and I sneeze into it, into the scarf. And when I got back to the compartment, I looked, and it was bloody, and there was like veins in it, you know? And the whole time, I was never allowed to wash it. So every time I had to go out and march, and you had to like wrap it the same way, you know? So the whole time I was in boot camp, I had this crusty ass, bloody ass, green, veiny, loogie stained.
This is horrible. This is a horrible. Why did they let you watch? They let you watch everything else.
I was treated really well in boot camp. Like I was actually because I was like the RPOC,
You weren't allowed to watch.
but like that's because I wasn't really part of like the compartment. I was the RPOC of the the APOC, and then I was the RPOC of the ship staff of Ship 7.
Of it, yeah. I was on ship staff too.
Were you? Were you like the main guy?
Yeah. No. I was like, what was it? It was some easy ass shit. I basically scammed my way in with a buddy to get like the easiest job. I think it was like
Mailroom or something?
yeah, refilling like or like toilet paper rolls or something.
Yeah.
I basically did absolutely nothing except go to the muster, and then sometimes I'd do the watch there. Like a 4-hour watch. That was pretty
To the
much it.
building. Yeah. Yeah, I was in charge of everybody. And so
Yeah.
like
Oh, and
everybody
then-
loved me.
And then in the squadron or whatever that's called, I was the they made a new PO that didn't exist. They made it specifically for me as the reading PO.
Oh.
So I was the only guy that read anything because I was the only one that could like read without being like
Oh,
Jabokos.
no.
And I knew how to project my voice.
You were articulate.
And that was cool because it's like that's a sweet job. Yeah, that's a sweet job of just talking.
Yeah, I would actually
But that's gross.
Yeah, it was gross. And like yeah, I was like I would just walk out of the compartment and like nobody would ever question me. So like I just had free reign.
Yeah.
I had the easiest time in boot camp ever. I was spoiled. I was
Head over to the mixed gender ones.
Yeah, well, we were co-ed. We
Remember
were
those?
co-ed. My
Oh, you
yeah,
were
Ship
co-ed?
7.
Yeah, I was in an all male.
Oh yeah, no, Ship 7 was co-ed. You know, we were in 2 different compartments, but like we would sleep in the 2 different compartments, but in the day we'd all be in one. You know. But that was Ship 7.
I remember those. So when I was in the all guys, I think they put the sexiest dudes away from the women because we just can't be trusted.
Oh, okay.
But I remember like the first couple days, you'd go in the mess hall and you'd see girls, and you're like, ugh.
They looked bad,
Ugh.
dude.
What are they only?
They looked
get ugly
bad.
women. They look so bad. They have a shitty haircut. They're not allowed
The
to
glasses.
shave. They're like hairy, giant, gross glasses.
Yeah.
But then I remember like 2 weeks in, you're like, yeah, they're not that great, but they're fine. And then like a month, and you're like, oh, she's so fucking hot. Oh, I just want to smell her hair.
I didn't find out.
You like haven't been around a
I didn't
girl.
find out until later, but there was a girl that was in my compartment that was giving blowjobs out in the laundry room. I was
awesome.
never invited to that. But
Of course not.
I'm pretty sure she had herpes, genital herpes, because she lifted up her shirt once and like you could kind of see like all these red dots. Maybe it was because she was. Anyway, we should probably get back to the video games. All right, what you got for us, man?
I guess we'll move on to the news.
Fucking crusty ass sailors over here.
Yeah, dude. Look, it informs our opinions on video games or something.
Yeah.
So it looks like Cyberpunk has gotten a new game director. So Gabriel Amatangelo, who joined CD Projekt in January 2020 as creative director, has taken over from studio head Adam Badowski. I'm actually surprised it took this long. The other dude probably should have been fired immediately after the clusterfuck that happened. Obviously, it's probably not just the game director's fault. Probably a lot of to ship the game probably has a lot to do with shareholders and all that. But this is how things go. On to one guy, he takes a rap, he gets fired. So the fact that it took 5 months before at least making a public move to show that they're addressing change, whether they're doing that or not, is beside the point. These companies are all about optics. And so it's surprising to me that, they didn't take this step already. But it's happening now. It makes sense. You can't have a clusterfuck that was Cyberpunk 2077, the most anticipated, look forward to game in the history of gaming. it comes out and it's one of the worst fucking releases of any game ever. You can't have that kind of shit going on. So it's good they at least made this optical change, and hopefully this guy will know what he's doing better. You know, hopefully he'll they'll put deadlines and stuff that are actually realistic.
If they have the luxury
for the developers to meet.
If they have the luxury to do so. You know, the kind of...
If they have the luxury to do so.
Yeah, you know, kind of the same thing happened with Anthem, where they ended up having to finally fire some people and hire some new people. You know, in these big AAA developer studios where they've got, you know, tons of money wrapped up, there's no room for people who kind of know what they're doing. Like, you need the best people available. Like the top tier. You can't just have someone who kind of stumbled their way in and fooled everybody into thinking that they were good enough. No, you need someone who's actually good enough, and those people are few and far between. You know, it's not like you can just go hire just some random guy, you know. It's hard, man, you know, and it's amazing that video games are even made at all. You know, so
yeah, it's a lot of moving parts.
It's a lot of moving parts, and like a game director, if I'm not mistaken, they're kind of like the orchestrator, where, you know, hey, programmers, we need this shit done by this time. Graphic artists, we need this shit done by this time. And so, like, they kind of have to kind of know everything that's going on and how to kind of synchronize it all to meet up at one singular point at a given time.
Yeah, and it takes like a creative, specific type of mind where if you have deadlines that are, you know, are unrealistic, you got to have someone that really knows how to get people motivated, get projects lined up in a way that maximum efficiency can be used so that you can get as great of a product as you can within the limited time that you have. So hopefully this Amatagello has that ability. Again, okay, so Adam Badowski wasn't let go. I thought he stepped down. I must have misread that. He's just moving over. So he's moving over as studio head, and only going to do that now. He's not going to be the game director. This will apparently allow him to focus more on one role, and they're going to move to a new strategy of multi-game development strategy. So I think what they've been doing is like their teams on working on this game, but now they're going to try to get it set up to where, you know, the art department's working on this game while the devs are working on this part of the game, and then kind of create a more assembly line approach that way. But we will see. They also have the roadmap out for CD Projekt Red, which looks like we got 1.2 by the end, by the end of 2021, we should get free DLC, multiple updates and improvements, and a free next-gen console update for the people on PS5s and Xboxes. So hopefully they that works out for them. I think they did do a lot of work. They put a lot of work into the game. I checked it out a couple weeks ago after the 1.2, and you know, I didn't have a ton of issues like a lot of people did because we're PC gamers, but a lot of the performance issues were definitely fixed, and then a lot of the really T-poses and like some of just the dumbest bugs in the planet were fixed pretty good. There's still underlying problems with that game that I don't think can be fixed. I mean, the way the cars work, I mean, you had GTA. You see how they work in GTA. GTA 3, I believe they work better than they do in Cyberpunk 2077. So
I got used to them. You know, they're not as tight.
Well, I'm not talking about driving. I'm not talking about the driving. I'm talking about the AI. How it doesn't know, like the cars will just disappear. They're not actually real objects, it seems like in the game. And then if you park your car on the road and leave, the cars will just sit there and never do anything, and they'll back up, and you can see the backup till they just start popping out of existence. And it's like, this is, I'm sure the programming of that is very complicated, especially in a game like this, but it already exists. You know, it's like you already have the perfect model of how that's done. You can see what it should look like. So do that. I mean, you don't. It's like someone selling banana sandwiches, and you're like, I know, I'm gonna make a banana sandwich too, and sell it right next to it. But mine won't have any bananas. It'll just be bread.
They probably Rockstar Games probably keeps their code secret, you know. So
absolutely.
like, you can see,
look at it.
You can look at it, but then you also have to figure out how to do it. You know, it's sorcery. You know.
Yeah. Well, I have trust that if you're running a game company that's gotten as big as CD Projekt Red,
yeah,
you could probably pay someone enough money to figure it out. You could find someone who's smart enough to figure it out. You could probably hire an old Rockstar dev or something.
Yeah, maybe.
So.
Yeah, you know,
it's kind of ridiculous.
I had a lot of fun with Cyberpunk 2077, and I'm a PC gamer as well. I had a few graphical issues, like multiple items spawning during cinema scenes. But the only game-breaking thing that ever happened to me was one mission. It was like a side mission, so it didn't break the main story. But something happened in one of the buildings, and it just broke the mission. Like, there was no way I could ever complete the mission. I tried to do a workaround to try to figure out how to get around it and complete it, but it was just impossible, you know? So that was the biggest problem I had with that game, which is very minute compared to what console players experienced. I did a review on Cyberpunk 2077, and I was like, yeah, it's a great game, you know, not realizing that all the console players got screwed. So
yeah, but that is, I think like a lot of people with the like CD Projekt Red thing, and I think there's extra vitriol because it's like the Blizzard thing we were talking about before, but we trusted them. They had done so well, they were saying all the right things, to then have this be a product. And the biggest problem though isn't that they released a buggy game too early. I get it, they had pushed it back like 3 times, it wasn't coming together. They probably were forced to put it out. But when they purposely didn't send the code to like the Xbox code and the PS4 codes to people until the day of, and you weren't allowed to show any footage of that until that is hiding. You are hiding the fact that your game does not work at all on those consoles, and you are lying through omission to those people and stealing their money. And it's incredibly fucked up. What they should have done is released it on PC first and said, look, we're sorry, or Xbox and PS5s, look, we're sorry these ones came out first, but we need a little more tweaking and optimization to get it to run on these old machines. Guess who loves that? Like, not all the gamers love it, but the people at Sony and Microsoft love it, because now it's pushing people towards buying the new consoles if they want to play the game a little early. You know, and then give the older one a couple extra months, you know, to get those optimization down to where you could actually run the fucking game.
You know, I didn't.
That's just credit.
I didn't hype up Cyberpunk 2077 as much as most people did, and you know, maybe this comes with being an older gamer as well. But like, CD Projekt Red was known for the Witcher series, and that type of game is a billion miles away from the type of game that Cyberpunk 2077 is. You know, you would expect a company like Obsidian or Bethesda, ZeniMax, the publisher, to put out a game like that. You know, CD Projekt Red never did. You know, so they're newbies. They were newbies in that space. So it's not even though you could be the most experienced developer on the planet at like first person shooters. You know, then you go to making a real-time strategy game, you know, you're kind of starting off at not ground zero, but you're not making a first-person shooter game anymore. It's completely different, you know, so...
Yeah, it's kind of like being a professional athlete. You know, if I'm a professional football player, I'm probably better at basketball than the average person, just because I'm physically fit and I have agility and stuff trained to the highest level. But I'm not a professional basketball player, you know? So, like, my skills at football don't necessarily translate perfectly into basketball.
Precisely.
So I kind of look at it, like that. That is the cyberpunky news. Anything that makes that game better is better for all of us, because according to the figures, we all fucking bought it. So...
Yeah.
Um, this next story, this one, this one's weird. So I like what's happening, but a lot of people are very mad. Um, CA or Creative Assembly, they do the Total War games, have said that they're going to that Three Kingdoms, Total War Three Kingdoms, which came out like a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, has received its final update and won't be supported anymore. And so people were very mad about that because it's still pretty new. I think there's only one Total War that's newer than that. I really enjoyed the game. I still really enjoy the game. I don't know how much continued development these games need, or if there's any problems that demanded be fixed. So I don't know why people are pissed off about that. But they're moving that team. It looks like they're going to focus on creating a romance of the Three Kingdoms game, which I don't know if it's going to be like the old ones that were made back in like the 2000s. But I really like those because they were kind of like a Crusader Kings 3 in a way, where there was some strategy to them, but there's also like house politics and dynamics and family arranging and like having children and stuff like that. And I always love those type of games that have those options. So I don't know if it's going to be like that or if it's just Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the Chinese tale, which I believe is open source. And they're doing a game that's just based on that. So we'll have to see. But I love the Romance of the Three Kingdoms, the stories that I know from it. And I really liked Three Kingdoms in general because I just really love Chinese history. And I think like in America and in the West, broadly, there's very little Chinese content, like really good games set in China. I think this like Assassin's Creed, I think did a Chinese one on like the Game Boy or the PSP. But I always wanted like a full Chinese Assassin's Creed, like cultures that I have way less familiarity with. So I think more games set in China will be cool. Again, I just really love the history, and I think Total War, every one of their games are pretty good. They're not all bangers, but they have a lot of bangers, and they're all pretty good. So more from them is better for me.
I put 104 hours into Total War Three Kingdoms, which isn't a whole lot. It's not a whole lot considering it takes about 40 hours to actually complete a file. But I enjoyed it. It seemed kind of like a not as good version of Civilization 6. That's kind of how I felt about it. I learned how to play it, and
Is that how you feel about Total War in general?
Three Kingdoms was the first Total War game I ever played.
Oh.
Yeah.
How did I not get you playing Total War games before?
I don't know. I'd seen it, but the person who showed it to me, I didn't really trust their taste. It was kind of this weird person, and I was in the barracks, and he's like, "Come over to my barracks and let me show you."
Pecoraro.
No, it wasn't Pecoraro. It was so I didn't really trust it. And then Three Kingdoms was coming out, and it was kind of hyped up, and it's like, okay, I'll give it a shot. But I'm looking at on Steam here, and it's got mostly positive reviews, but the recent reviews are mostly negative. Is that because?
Yeah, I believe. Yeah, from what I understand, it was getting review bombed because they did their final update, and they're not going to keep developing.
Maybe it's kind of like no more free stuff type of thing, where it's like.
Well, I don't know. So, how do I say this carefully without it being taken out of context? The Chinese gaming base of players are very particular about any game that has to do with China or a game that they like that doesn't have Chinese support. I've seen it on several games where they were popular games, but they hadn't released Chinese support yet, and they would get review bombed. You'd see discussions, a lot of vitriol. And I don't think it's, because they're Chinese. I think you're just talking about a population that large, so that any negativity that comes from that population is going to seem larger in volume, just because mathematically it is. Not that they're more particularly aggressive than American gamers. We're quite the fucking neckbeard assholes too. I do think especially games that touch on Chinese or China, and they're very nationalistic people typically, so they they want to be represented. And this was kind of one of the very first really big games to really kind of represent mainstream games, really represent China culture. So I could see that being some of it. Again, it could also be just 14-year-old nerdos in general being like, yeah, I want more stuff. But I didn't. Maybe I have to look too deeply, so correct us if we're wrong in the comments. But I didn't see anything where it was like, oh, you have this glaring game-breaking bug and you're not fixing it. That's why you're getting, because that I could understand.
It's probably that Chinese Winnie the Pooh ass motherfucker hiring a bunch of government officials to write reviews.
Yeah, dude. Dude, leave Winnie the Pooh alone, dude.
Yeah.
But one thing I do want to touch on, though, about the Total War is there's aspects of it that are similar to Civilization and are worse than Civilization because the main focus of the game isn't the overland map, which is weird because you spend a lot of time on that map upgrading your cities and control points and the nodes. However, the fucking balls of the game, that meaty ass of the game is the real-time battle, and having thousands of troops that you can control. And like my first game was Rome, the first one, and god damn, that game blew me away so much as like a younger gamer. And I really like what they've been doing with the series. I recommend checking out the Warhammer one. Warhammer one's my favorite by far because I don't know, adding magic and adding all these systems that you couldn't add into a typical history one just made it really cool. And they have so many races and they're more unique, because it's easier to be unique when you're like a mutant rat versus a lizard man than if I'm a Roman guy from the south of Italy or a Roman guy from the north of Italy, So it's easier to have wider ranges in the art style and the playability of the characters. So that one's really good. What I did like, though, about this one in particular was the Three Kingdoms. What it did was it took the historical ones that they've always done, and then it took a bit of the magic from Warhammer. And they, instead of making a purely historical, like Chinese history battle, it was inspired by the Three Kingdoms storylines. And so you have these famous historical characters who are more myth than historical at this point. And you get this kind of really good blend that scratched an itch for me of having that reality there, having that history there, but not being dominated by the history, being like, you know what, though, we are going to have a little bit of magic, we're going to have a little bit of this and that.
It's a game.
And with the Chinese myth, it works so well. So big fan of those series.
Yeah, I liked it. I think that was the first full-blown review video that I ever made. It got like 2 views, and then it just like disappeared.
Hell yeah.
It just disappeared off the internet. Like nobody ever saw it. I don't know what happened to that.
How pissed were those 2 people?
I think it was a good review. I think yeah. It wasn't my best work. As a YouTuber, like, your first videos will be your worst, and I was actually kind of lucky because the very first video I made was one of my best videos. I found a niche in Arc. It was a question that a lot of people were asking, but there was no good source to find an answer for it. So I made a video about how to increase the Wild Dino Max level cap, and that really helped me grow as a YouTuber. But what sucked is that like my video quality, my video production was so shitty that I was getting all these views and stuff, but the videos that came after it were garbage. Nobody wanted any of that.
Yeah.
But
Yeah, that's just kind of how it is. The pop, right?
yeah, but the more you play, the more you do, the more you'll learn. You know, you learn better, more
Hmm.
advanced editing skills and audio skills and all that kind of stuff. Oh,
Yeah.
kind of a side
But
tangent.
I would definitely. Yeah, but I'd recommend either picking up Warhammer 2 Total War or 3. I don't know if 3 came out or it's coming out soon. Maybe wait for that one. And then the final piece of news we got is Far Cry 6 is coming out. They just released the game trailer. We both watched that earlier. It looks good. They're doing some different stuff with this one though. For one, your character is not a blank slate. It's a Cuban guerrilla chick who, from the video, from the trailer so far, it looks like she has personality. Looks like she has, a viewpoint and is like we only know from the clip, but it looks like she's a full character. Whereas in all previous Far Cry games, you were just white hands. You didn't have a face, you didn't have yada yada. You were basically generic college white guy every single time. And so that was kind of like your blank slate gamer. Your character never said anything that was not cliche or stupid or just obvious. And the whole point of Far Cry was the bad guy. At least since 3, the bad guy is what the draw is. You are a nothing nobody, but we have the Joker.
Hmm.
And so you have these really cool bad guys with unique perspectives. A lot of people didn't like 5 as much. I lived in Montana for a long time, so I had a particular affinity for it. But I really like that this kind of cultish guy who thinks he's doing the right thing, but you can kind of see the edges of his like authoritarianism and power hungriness. And then before, like the other two before, were also like were particularly great bad guys. So this, I didn't necessarily see a bad guy. Did you, Hale?
No, I was more just blown away kind of by the graphics. I don't know how much they're gonna
Mm-hmm.
dumb that down. That might just be like the raw footage before they kind of lower the resolution on everything. Or it could have just been cinematic footage. But from what I saw, like the foliage and the graphics really kind of blew me away. I don't know if they're using the Unreal Engine 5 or something, but it looks
Yeah.
really good. So we'll see how the gameplay actually pans out. I haven't been super
Yeah.
impressed with the last couple games. But I've always been a fan of Far Cry. I see the potential there. So
Mm-hmm.
hopefully they hit all the right notes. I mean, they've had plenty of previous Far Cries to learn off of. So hopefully they take what they know and improve upon it and make this the best one yet.
Yeah, there's like a few. For one, all the Far Cry games usually look really good. I think they do a good job on the graphical area. Uh, I don't like the. I just hate Ubisoft games at this point because I hate doing like go here and clean out this camp and go here and it's like do this exact same thing 5,000 times. Um, but I have always played through all the Far Cries. I don't do everything, but I'll do a good run through and I enjoy them. In this one though, there's like a few things though that this one looks interesting too, besides just the character deviation. Is it looks like you're gonna have some sort of like what's like Jimmy rigged or jury rigged contraptions, weapons and stuff. Look like you're gonna have some like cool like little type of like guns and gadgets that are like that, which seems interesting to me. They had like one that sings like the Macarena or something when you shoot it. So if they play with that a lot more and really see we see something like interesting in that aspect, that'd be very cool. And then finally, I think the biggest thing coming out, at least the most important thing to me, is that they're going to have a wiener dog in a wheelchair, and it is adorable looking. So if you
Oh,
love if you love doggies and wheelchairs, this is a game for you.
hip dysplasia is a thing of the past. Now you can just get your dog a wheelchair.
Yeah, yeah, dude. And they look super cute.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Did you have any final notes there? Anything else you want to touch on?
Why don't we talk about the poll results for Subnautica versus Ark?
Alrighty.
All right, let me pull it up here. I'll just take 1 second. Okay, so 6 days ago, I put out this poll asking, as a whole, which game is better, Subnautica or Ark? And I said answers will be discussed on the Nuclear Grenade podcast. 98 votes, so pretty much 100 people voted, which isn't the biggest voter pool in the world. But 95% voted for Ark, and only 5% voted for Subnautica. 0% voted for Subnautica below 0, but I would say that Subnautica and Subnautica below 0 are pretty much just the same thing. So 5% versus 95.
It's almost like a different map, like in Ark.
Yeah, except with Ark, it's not a whole new different game. It's just another map.
Yeah, it's expansion, yeah. I mean, obviously not surprised considering your channel, and really not surprised considering the average IQ of the human population.
That's your defense.
Especially on YouTube.
That's your defense.
Yeah, I think when you have bridge trolls out here, you know, just voting and everything, you know, like did they earn their vote? You know, just throwing these haphazard, ridiculous opinions out there. These are the results you're going to get. I mean, if you look at statistics, only, you know, about 5% of people are, you know, a genius. So if you think about it that way, clearly the people of high IQ, of worth, of intellectual growth and prosperity, they're the ones that are making the proper call with Subnautica.
Okay, well,
these slimy goblin people, you know, with shriveled hands and mummy faces, they're more the type that the masses, you know, the 95%, they're more of your Ark type players.
Okay, well, yes, talking about stats, let's see here. Subnautica, so we'll count both Subnautica and Subnautica below 0. You add both those up, and it's about 24,000 current players. And then you look at Ark, 79,000 current players. And below 0 just came out, you know, and Ark Survival Evolved's been out for almost a decade now, I think.
Yeah.
So Ark is just killing both the Subnautica games.
Well, by that metric, Candy Crush is better than Ark.
Candy Crush isn't on Steam analytics.
No, but it's still far more widely played.
But we're not.
I mean, better game. Clearly,
we're not talking.
Obviously, the better game.
We're not talking about Android and iPhone games.
Well, why not? If we're just talking basing the best game on how many people are playing it.
Well, you want to talk about specifics? We can have a debate if you want to debate, man.
No, I think the what people are looking for in games is kind of the real difference there. I think someone like me who doesn't have hundreds of hours to spend, like, I can't play Ark. Like, I'm just not ever going to do that again, probably. Enjoy the time I spent in it. Had a lot of fun playing with my friends and stuff. But the game's a job, you know, it's fucking work. And work can be fun. Work can be satisfying. And I think a lot of people get that out of Ark. Like Prestridge, I still see plays like every fucking day.
Yeah, he's insane.
But me, like, I like tailored, small experiences that I can absorb and then move on. And so I think from that angle, they're very similar in the fact that they're survival crafting games. But it really doesn't surprise me that Ark, being the larger game, having more in it, more to do, is going to draw a bigger crowd. It's just that I don't seek out those experiences as much anymore, especially as I get older.
Yeah, Ark is a world that you can live in virtually, and Subnautica is a game that you play from point A to point B and it's done. Yeah. You know,
exactly.
With Ark,
exactly.
By the time you've done everything there is to do an Ark, you're sick of it, which is interesting because most games are over before you're sick of them. You know what I mean? But Ark is one of those few games that have managed to do it. So it's like, I don't know many players who have on vanilla default settings gone through all the maps, beaten all the bosses, and there's just not many of those players out there. I've done it, but I've done it with mods. I haven't done it vanilla. So
Yeah, vanilla that's insane.
that is insane.
But yeah, it's definitely like it's almost, I would say it's almost like comparing like a theme park to a specific roller coaster. Like I think Subnautica is a roller coaster. You get on it, you ride it, you enjoy your time. Whereas Ark is more the theme park. It has roller coasters in it. It also has fat dudes coughing on your child, and then, you know, kids running up with sticky fingers, mushing your fucking, ruining your pants.
Yeah.
But, you know, it has a lot more variety, a lot more to it. So I think it's pretty fair. I think 95% makes sense if you're doing overall. But I definitely enjoyed my 20-30 hours of Subnautica more than I enjoyed the like 200+ hours I probably had in Ark. And even though Ark probably had more peaks that were better, but over that whole time I think back and you know, I remember some fun experiences, but not truly not experiences that really made me think or meditate at all. Whereas like I would definitely get lost down in like the underworld of Subnautica, looking at stuff and thinking about how like these plants grew and stuff like that.
Yeah, I mean, I see what you're saying, but what's nice about Ark is that one of the things is that you can play with friends. You know, oh, look, there's Ember. I didn't even know she was in here.
I watched her crawl up, little ninja.
Yeah. But like me, Blaze, and his girlfriend Molly at the time, we had just tranked out a Quetzal, and it fell down into the redwood forest. So we go down there. A Spino's attacking some raptors by the river, and close to the Quetzal. So it's like, oh shit. We hope that it doesn't hit the Quetzal. So Blaze and Molly land first, and they both get killed. I manage to survive. I get spikes set up around the Quetzal, and I you know, kite the things away. Blaze and Molly come back, and nighttime falls, and I'm kind of going around the perimeter at night, making sure that there's no Troodons or anything. Sure enough, a Troodon jumps out of the bush, bites me a couple times. I run back into the spiked area, and like I pass out as soon as I get in there, you know. And
Nice.
Molly and Blaze both saw it. I'm like, I'm coming, please. You know, and so like those are the types of experiences that you could never get with Subnautica, and I think that's one of the reasons why it's 95% to 5%. They're just two different games too.
Yeah.
You know, they're both survival, crafting.
Really, yeah.
But one's multiplayer, one isn't. One has a million maps, one doesn't. You know,
Million animals. Like even a single map is probably what, 5 times the size of Subnautica, even the base Subnautica, original Subnautica. So it's a ton more. But you know, some of us like to buy the Safeway bucket of ice cream and mush it into our fat faces, and some of us like to get like, you know, a nice little Haagen-Dazs, you know, a small little pint of something delicious, you know, and kind of nibble it.
That's fair. I like that analogy. That's a good one.
Yeah.
Well, I think we're good.
Do you have anything else?
Good.
Alrighty. Thank you all for listening to the Nuclear Grenade podcast. Like, subscribe, do all that mumbo jumbo. Check out Havoc Gaming channel. You guys have a wonderful week.
Godspeed.